Hello friends, myself Saurabh Shirke. I welcome you all to Lokayan I.ए.एस Academy. Here we are discussing previous year questions of Indian economy from UPSC Civil Services Prelims examination. Until now we have discussed external sector in two parts. Now in today's session we are discussing questions regarding inflation. So before jumping into solving questions related to inflation, let's understand few basic things regarding inflation. Okay, inflation, basic meaning. Price rise, quantitative price rise in goods and services. Okay. See, remember one thing, we are not discussing in detail regarding all aspects of inflation. We are discussing certain aspects which will be helpful in solving further questions. Okay, so major causes of inflation. Causes, or also you can say types. Demand pull, cost push, and third one is built in. It is inflation inflation due to some structural bottlenecks. These are types and causes. Due to increase in demand of certain good, price rises. Cost push, due to rise in the price of that particular good due to various reasons. It may be due to rise in the raw material. And third one is built in, that is due to structural bottlenecks, lack of cold storages, lack of transportation facilities, and etc. So we have discussed briefly. Now remember, major reason is increase in the money supply. So one thing we have to remember, that whenever question will ask which measures can be taken to reduce inflation or to control inflation, we have to choose such options which will reduce the money supply in the economy. So major which will reduce money supply. So these are the few basic things regarding inflation. Now let's move to solving questions from past year. This is the first question from 2020. The weightage of food in consumer price index is higher than that in wholesale price index. Okay. The WPI doesn't capture changes in the prices of services which CPI does. Okay. Reserve Bank of India has now adopted WPI as its key measure of inflation and to decide on changing the key policy rates. Okay, these are the three statements. Okay, there may be possibility that in the tension of the exam you may forget that in which index the food has larger share, etc. But remember this third statement, Reserve Bank of India has now adopted WPI as its key measure of inflation and decide on changing key policy. It's wrong one, because Reserve Bank uses CPI as per Monetary Policy Framework Agreement. Okay, so third statement is wrong. Eliminate third. Okay. Now we have to choose between 1 and 2. The weightage of food in CPI is higher than that of wholesale price index, which is obviously correct. First statement is correct. So there is only one option which contains 1 is correct. So 1 is correct. And second also, WPI doesn't capture changes in prices of services which CPI does. It's correct. Okay, let's briefly discuss about CPI and WPI. First major difference is retail level. WPI measures at wholesale level. Okay, CPI published by NSO, WPI Office of Economic Advisor. Base rate for CPI is 2012, WPI is 2011. Well, so there are many differences. We are discussing few one. This is important one regarding the share of various commodities. CPI and WPI varies, which we will see in next slide. Okay, so these are the few key differences. Now what is important from our exam point is how both indices are behaving. So let's discuss this. Okay, this is slightly blur one. Okay, so before discussing the first pick, let's discuss the second pick, composition of wholesale price index and this composition of CPI. Let me change the color. Okay, now see the statements. First statement, that food has higher share in CPI as compared to WPI. See this, food and beverages 45.86%, and here in WPI 15.26. See, you need not to mug up all this figure, but you have to broadly just observe all this figure and graph and have a broad picture in your mind so that you can solve the question. Also see here that there is a divergence between CPI and WPI, growing divergence. This fact also you have to remember. It is also mentioned in economic survey. Okay, so keep this thing. Now one more important thing, this is refined core inflation. So another thing which was mentioned in economic survey. (2021-2022). See, basically there are the inflation as two types: CPI inflation core and headline. Headline inflation is the overall inflation, that is CPI. But in core inflation, while calculating core inflation, food and fuel components are eliminated, excluding food and fuel. Now see this interesting thing. In core inflation, food and fuel is excluded, but our conventional fuel, that is petrol and diesel, both these things are not included as in the fuel category. They are included under transportation and communication subgroup under the miscellaneous group in CPI inflation. That's why there is a new concept, refined core inflation. In refined core inflation, our daily fuel, that is petrol and diesel and other lubricants, are excluded. Now you see the divergence between this one is in yellow color is retail core inflation, and these blue dots are refined core inflation. So refined core inflation is lower than the retail core inflation. Okay, so this fact is important for upcoming prelim examination. That's why we have discussed it here. Okay, let's move to next question. Okay, with reference to inflation in India, which of the following statements is correct? 2015, correct. We have to identify correct statement. Okay, controlling the inflation in India is the responsibility of Government of India only. The Reserve Bank of India has no role in controlling inflation. No role in controlling inflation. Decreased money circulation helps in controlling inflation. Okay, increased money circulation helps in controlling the inflation. Now see, as we have discussed prior discussing the question, that is basic inflation, we have seen that to tackle the inflation, what we have to do is decrease the money supply. The correct option is decrease money circulation and controlling inflation is correct answer. Now there may be possibility that you may not have knew this idea, but you can do one thing, just observe the statements. See, decreased money circulation helps in controlling inflation, increased money circulation helps in controlling inflation. Both are the contrasting statements. Both are contrasting statements, as we have seen in earlier question discussion. If such situation happen, then one of them will be answer. And also see first and second statement, that is A and B. Government controlling inflation is the responsibility of government only. And second, Reserve Bank of India has no role in controlling inflation. See, both are similar one. So any one of them cannot be answer because both are in similar in nature. Okay, so this one also you can remember. Information regarding inflation control mechanism, monetary policy framework agreement, we will discuss in our question discussion series of monetary policy framework. Okay, next question. Okay, see this, inflation benefits debtors, inflation benefits bondholders. Correct statement. We have to identify correct statement. Inflation benefits debtor and inflation benefits bondholders. See, first statement is correct, second statement is incorrect. We will see now the explanation of this thing. See, what is inflation? Price rise. Another thing, value of money decreases. Third thing, purchasing power of people reduces. Okay, so now consider if a debtor has taken loan of 100 rupees with interest rate of 2%. So how much will he pay? 102 rupees at the end, year end. But the rate of inflation is 5%. The actual value of money should have been 105 rupees, but the debtor is paying only 102 rupees. So debtor benefited. The first statement is correct. Second one is inflation benefits bondholder. It's clearly incorrect statement because we have seen how it will be incorrect here. Because bondholder is what doing? Purchasing bond and giving in money or loan to the one who is selling the bond. Second statement is incorrect. Answer is 1 only. Okay. Next question. See, in the basic concept discussion of inflation, we have discussed this. A rise in general level of prices may be caused by an increase in the money supply. Let me show you. See this first slide. Increase in demand, increase in cost, built in some structural bottlenecks. And measures are what? These are measures and one of the reason. Okay, now let's move to the question again. Okay, an increase in the money supply, a decrease in the aggregate level of output, an increase in the effective demand. See, an increase in the money supply, obviously correct. General level of prices. Okay, decrease in the aggregate level of output, obviously correct. See, if output decreases, the demand, then the demand will increase and it will cause rise in price. Okay, because things will be limited. Earlier, there was X units. Now X minus something. Say 100. There were 100 units. 100 units of goods. But now that aggregate level of output is reduced to 80. But demand is same. So price will rise. Second statement is correct. An increase in the effective demand, obviously. Increase in the effective demand will give rise to price rise. Correct is 1, 2 and 3. All statements are correct. Let's move to next question. Which one of the following is likely to be most inflationary in its effect? 2013. We will discuss this question at later stage. Okay, let's move to next question. Okay, which of the following measures would result in increase in the money supply in the economy? Okay, simple question. We have to just check which actions will increase the money supply. Okay, we will solve this question with elimination method. First statement, purchase of government securities from public by central bank. Second, deposit of currency, borrowing by government. Sale of government securities to public by central bank. Will it increase the money supply? No. When central bank will sell government securities to the public, public will purchase it. So their money supply in the economy will reduce. This is incorrect one. Money supply increase. Okay, so eliminate fourth. So what remains? 1 only, 1 and 3. So you do not have to consider second statement, deposit of currency in commercial banks by the public. This one is also incorrect because there is just changing of hand. Because people have money in their own hand and now they are depositing in commercial banks. It will not increase the money supply in the economy. Now first statement, purchase of government securities from the public by central bank. Obviously, this will increase the money supply because central bank will pay money So this paid money will enter in the economic supply. Money supply will increase. Borrowing by the government from central bank. This option is also correct. So answer is 1 and 3. Understood? You have to just eliminate and get the answer. Next question. Okay. India has experienced persistent and high food inflation in the recent past. What could be the reasons? See, such question, while solving such question, there is less probability that you have read something regarding this in some material and solving it in exam. So such question has to be solved logically. Now see the statements. First one is, due to gradual switch over to the cultivation of commercial crops, the area under cultivation of food grains has steadily decreased in last 5 years by about 30%. Okay, we may not have any idea, let's leave it. As a consequence of increasing incomes, the consumption patterns of the people have undergone significant change. Okay, third one, the food supply chain has structural constraints. Is it correct or incorrect? Obviously it's correct, very generic statement. It's also syllabus point in GS3 syllabus that food supply chain has a structural bottlenecks constraint. Third statement is correct one. So eliminate this A. Now move to first two statements. See, read the first statement carefully. Due to a gradual switch over to cultivation of commercial crops, the area under the cultivation of food grains has steadily decreased in last 5 years by 30%. So just think logically, have you gone through such a news or any report that the area under commercial crops is increasing and the area under food grain is reduced by 30%. Also recall some news that India is the major producer of food grain. India's food production like wheat, rice is continuously increasing. Will it be possible that on one hand we are continuously increasing our food grain production, on the other side there is reduction in area by almost 30%? Yes, in certain cases it will be possible with technological intervention. Do not think extremely, just think from a layman point of view. Will it be possible? No, it won't be possible. First statement is incorrect. Okay, as soon as you eliminate the first statement, eliminate option C, D, A. Second is the correct answer. Here the second statement, as a consequence of increasing income, the consumption pattern of the people have undergone significant change. Won't it be possible? Earlier people had low income, so they used to depend on chorus grain, etc. Now they are shifting to millets, pulses, etc. This is a positive statement and looks correct. So second and third is the correct option. Such question have to be solved in such a way. So understand the thinking process behind solving the question, because there will be very less possibility that you are reading such a factual thing and information somewhere and directly solving such type of question in the exam. Okay, so let's move to next question. Okay, this one is simple. A rapid increase in the rate of inflation is sometimes attributed to the base effect. What is base effect? Option C is the correct answer. It is the impact of the price levels of the previous year on the calculation of inflation rate. Okay, C is the correct answer. Let's move to next question. Okay, now see this. Economic growth is usually coupled with. This one is bit conceptual question but easy one. So answer is inflation. Economic growth is associated with inflation. Okay, so economic growth will penetrate to the masses income increases, as income increases, demand also increases. Demand increases, and if the aggregate output supply remains same or doesn't match the pace of increasing demand, then price level will increase. This will lead to inflation, and this will lead to economic growth. This is a cycle. Okay, so correct answer is inflation. Now, what are the certain facts you need to remember regarding stagflation, deflation, hyperinflation? Hyperinflation is the very high-paced inflation. Okay. Read basic about hyperinflation. And one important thing we need to remember regarding hyperinflation is that, do you know which country in the world recently has suffered from hyperinflation? It is Venezuela. So we have syllabus point, important international events. Okay, so there question can be asked. Venezuela suffered hyperinflation. Hyperinflation, very steep, very high inflation. Okay, 1000%, 100%, 2000%, etc. What is deflation? See why I am explaining all these options, because UPSC is a habit to ask questions from the incorrect options. That's why having knowledge about the incorrect options is also necessary. So inflation, increase in price level, decrease in price level. Okay, and what is stagflation? Let's see in the slide. This is stagflation. I think it may not be visible much. Let me explain you. Read. Stagflation. What are the conditions in the stagflation? Inflation. Inflation with low GDP growth rate. See, earlier in the question, you have seen economic growth is usually coupled with inflation, but there are some instances when the economic growth will not be coupled with inflation. That situation is stagflation. Stagflation. See, key characteristics of stagflation: inflation, low GDP growth rate, high rate of unemployment. Okay, poor implementation of government policies, recession, etc. All these things. Okay, so these are the aspects of stagflation. Okay, let's move to next question. Okay. Okay. See this question from 2021 examination. Which among the following steps is most likely to be taken at time of economic recession? Okay, so before solving this question, let's understand about recession. So there's difference between slowdown and recession, and many times we confuse between slowdown and recession. Okay, see this graph from website of Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Do not look at figure, just look at the graph from July 2017, July 2020. See the GDP growth rate. Okay. Now see from March 2018, from this point. See, prior to COVID-19 pandemic, the GDP growth rate of Indian economy was continuously decreasing. See, 8.2, 7.1, 6.2, 5.6, just a fluctuation, 5.7, but then again 5.2, 4.4, 4.1, 3.1. So slowdown is decrease in the rate of growth of GDP. Slowdown is decrease the rate of growth of GDP. Okay, remember this, growth of GDP. Now what is recession? See here, contraction. See here, economy is not growing at all. Economy is contracted. Contraction of GDP. Contraction of GDP for successive quarters. I think it's 2 or 3. Just check it. It's called as recession. Okay. Understood about recession? Let's come to the question and solve it. Okay. Which among the following steps is most likely to be taken at the time of economic recession? So we have seen an economic recession, people's purchasing power will be less, so we have to improve it. Also economic activity will be less, so we have to increase it. Such step we have to take. Now see it option by option. Cut in the tax rates, okay, accompanied by increase in the interest rate, okay. Increase in the expenditure on public projects, okay. Increase in the tax rates accompanied by reduction of interest rate. A reduction of expenditure on public projects. Okay. Okay. See the questions, options carefully. Cut in the tax rates. Correct. Because as tax rates will be cut, people have more disposable amount of income at their hands. But see this adjoining statement, accompanied by increase in the interest rate. Increase in interest rate will make loans costlier. Okay, so this is not option, as loans will be costlier, so economic activity will not be boom. Second, increase in the expenditure on public projects seems correct. Okay, third one, increase in tax rates, straight away incorrect. By reduction of interest rate, reduction of interest rate is desirable, but increase in tax rate is wrong one. Fourth one, reduction of expenditure on public projects, incorrect. The government have to boost expenditure on public projects, because economy is in recession, people have less money with them. So this one is correct. So correct answer is this, increase in expenditure on public project. So what are the actions to be taken to the recession? Actions: reduce tax rates, reduce interest rates. What does it mean by reducing interest rates? Which type of policy? Monetary policy, expansionary monetary policy. And third one is not, third means not, the series, not, the list is not exhaustive. From option From these options I am listing these things. Third one is enhancing public expenditure. Okay, so B is the correct answer. Understood why the remaining options are wrong. Okay, let's move to next question. Okay, consider the following statements. Other things remaining unchanged. Mark this line. Other things remaining unchanged. Okay. Market demand for a good might increase if price of its substitute increases. Okay, price of its complement increases. Third, the good is an inferior good and income of the consumers increases. And fourth, its price falls. Okay, see, you have to think before choosing an option consciously, because you cannot mark in hurry. See, which is the most obvious option among these four statements? What do you think? When will demand will obviously increase? Obviously, its price falls. So price of certain thing is low, and demand will increase. Okay. Now see, price of its substitute increases. Will it be possible? Yes, obviously correct. Say for example can be tea and coffee. Famous example. Substitute of tea is coffee. If coffee's price has increased, obviously people will shift to tea. We can get Ola and Uber. If average cost of Uber is increasing, then the loyal customer of Uber will also shift to Ola. Okay. The first statement is correct. Fourth one is also correct. So can you eliminate few statements? Yes. Fourth, D can be eliminated. And first one is correct. So B also can be eliminated. See. Now consider statement number 2 and 3. The good is an inferior good and income of the consumer increases. The by default definition of inferior good is such that it is a particular good which people will not prefer if their income increases. So third statement is incorrect. Okay, so we can eliminate C also. So answer is 1 and 4. Now see the second also, price of its complement increases. If the complement of something will increase, then will it lead to increase in demand? No, it is not possible. Second is incorrect. For this you can consider example of car and petrol complement, sugar and tea complement, and just think, if a price of complement gets increased, then will it lead to increase in the price of original earlier commodity, that is car, petrol, tea, sugar? It won't. Second is incorrect. So answer is 1 and 4. Understood? Let's move to next question. See, earlier while discussing question number 3, I have told you that we will discuss this later. Why I said this? So that's the reason. Because same question from 2013 repeated exactly same in 2021. Okay. See, read the question. Which one of the following is likely to be the most inflationary? So mark this word, most inflationary. The question hasn't asked which of the following state will be inflationary in nature, because that would be an incomplete question. So mark this most inflationary in its effects. Okay. Now just read question statements. Repayment of public debt. Okay, it can be inflationary, obviously. borrowing from the public to finance budget deficit. Yes, it can be inflationary. Borrowing from the banks to finance a budget deficit, it can also be inflationary in nature. Creation of new money to finance budget deficit. Yes. See, all the four actions are inflationary in nature. We have to choose most inflationary. See, read statement B and C. Borrowing from the public to finance a budget deficit. Government borrow from public to finance a budget deficit. What will happen? There will be less money for private entrepreneurs for taking loans. But here what is happening? Just hands are changing. In the three statements, hands are changing. But in D, creation of new money to finance a budget deficit, entirely new money is created. It will be most inflationary in nature. Okay, see, again we will see statement B and C. Borrowing from public to finance a budget deficit and borrowing from banks to finance budget deficit. It will be inflationary, but as compared to statement A and D, both these steps will be less inflationary. Less inflationary as compared to statement A and D. Now see statement A and D. Repayment of public debt. Yes, obviously it will be inflationary. Why? Because money supply will increase. Money supply will increase. But now see this last statement, creation of new money. This will be more inflationary, most inflationary. Because entirely new money is created, the earlier debt is already there. Government have to pay the debt in the future. So considering the long term, fourth option, that is creation of money, new money to finance budget deficit, will be most inflationary. Okay, so D is the correct answer. This question was asked in 2013 examination. Okay, 2013 this question was asked in prelim. Again it repeated in 2021. So there were news regarding monetization of deficit. Continued discussion within the economists regarding monetization of deficit due to COVID-19 crisis. Understood? Let's move to next question. Okay, with reference to Indian economy, demand pull inflation can be caused or increased by which of the following? Okay, let's go option statement by statement. Expansionary policies. Okay, seems okay. Fiscal stimulus. Okay. Inflation indexing wages. Okay. Higher purchasing power. Okay. Rising interest rate. No. So when I was in the exam hall while solving this MCQ, I thought this third statement is correct. But see the fifth statement. But there is no option 1, 2, 3, 4 in this. Had it been there, most of the students would have been wrong. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is not there. Rising interest rate cannot increase the demand. See, demand pull inflation. So just eliminate option 5. Option 1 is the answer. Now let's understand the statements. Okay. With reference to Indian economy, demand pull inflation, expansionary monetary policy. Okay, see it here. expansionary monetary policy. Cheaper loans. Cheaper loans. More money supply. As loans are cheaper, people will get loans cheaper and easily accessible loans. People will get money easily, and the money supply will increase, which will lead to inflation. Correct one. Okay. Now see again one aspect which we discussed earlier. See the first statement, expansionary monetary policy, and second, rising interest rate. Both are contrasting, so one of them have to be wrong. Okay, rising interest rate, expansionary monetary policy means lower interest rates. Okay, and as per so this one is wrong. So expansionary monetary correct option. Second, see fourth one is obvious. Higher purchasing power. Higher purchasing power will lead to demand for inflation. Now fiscal stimulus. Fiscal stimulus. Fiscal stimulus. More public expenditure. Tax cuts, tax rate cuts. These are things included in fiscal stimulus. Obviously, this will increase the money supply. Money supply. Money supply will increase due to fiscal stimulus. So, second is also correct. Fourth is also correct. And as I said earlier, while reading the third one, inflation indexing wages, it seems correct, but it's not correct. See, inflation indexing wages. What is meant by this? There is a particular salary. And this salary will increase by adjusting the inflation rate. Say inflation rate is 2, 3, 4%. Now this salary is adjusted to rise in the price adjustment. Okay, so in inflation indexing wages, the salary is increased with respect to the increase in the inflation. So the overall salary, actual value of salary. See, the salary was X earlier. Due to increase in inflation, the actual money, not X, consider 25,000. 25,000 was salary. So salary's value got reduced due to inflation. But since there is inflation indexing wages, we have accommodated that change by increasing the salary. But it has accommodated only to the level of inflation. Okay, so overall the price, overall salary hasn't increased to raise the demand. So option is incorrect. Inflation indexing wages. If had it been more than the rate of inflation, then the demand would have been increased. But the rate is same as level of inflation. Inflation indexing wages. That's why Third one is incorrect. But you do not need to know all these things, just basic things. Rising interest rates will not lead to rise in demand, as rising interest rate will reduce the money supply in the economy. So fifth is incorrect, just eliminate fifth, you got your answer. Okay, so let's see next question. Okay, let me this one is little bit blur. I will include in next session. This one is simple question. In India, which one of the following is responsible for maintaining price stability by controlling inflation? Department of Consumer Affairs, Expenditure Management Commission, Financial Stability and Development Council, and Reserve Bank of India. Okay, see now understand the theme. 2013 UPSC asked question regarding whether there is a role of government in controlling inflation, whether there is role of RBI in controlling inflation. Same theme is repeated here. That's why solving previous year questions is important, and that's why we at Lokayan here discussing this question theme wise and in detailed manner. So the answer is Reserve Bank of India. In the next lecture of monetary policy, we'll discuss how Reserve Bank of India is empowered to manage the inflation in country. Okay, let's discuss that briefly. Inflation management. Okay, earlier prior to signing of monetary policy framework agreement between government and RBI, there was a clear-cut demarcation on the role of RBI in inflation management. But now you have clear-cut demarcation of role. So as per monetary policy framework agreement, RBI is to maintain inflation within the bound of 4 plus or minus 2% CPI. Okay, keeping this goal in mind, RBI has to take it policy decisions, and failure of this for 2 successive quarters RBI has to submit a report citing the reasons for failure of managing this inflation in Parliament. Okay, this is the basic. We will discuss in detail next lecture. Monetary policy framework agreement. Okay, so now okay, second last question. See, with reference to Indian economy, what are the advantages of inflation indexed bonds? Okay, inflation index bonds advantages. See, this question also we have to solve logically by eliminating certain statements. We have to find correct statements. Okay, so now read second statement. No, just go statement by statement. Government can reduce the coupon rates on its borrowing by way of IIBs, inflation index bond. Okay, inflation index bonds provide protection to the investors from uncertainty regarding inflation. Will it be possible? Yes, obviously, because it's in name. Inflation index bonds will provide protection to investors from uncertainty regarding inflation. Correct one. the interest received as well as capital gains on inflation index bonds are not taxable. So this one is incorrect because it's not such thing. UPSC has also previously asked such question that by doing this there will be tax exemption, but that's not the case. Third one is wrong. Eliminate this statement. 1 and 2 is the answer. And read the first statement. Government can reduce the coupon rates on its borrowing by way of aye-base. Correct one. Answer is 1 and 2. See, the interest received as well as capital gains on aye-base are not taxable. This one is incorrect, so we have eliminated this. See, I think on you have to just check on sovereign gold bonds. Income is not taxable. Just check that. Okay, now last question. Okay. See, we have discussed this question in earlier lecture, but why I am taking it again here, because I haven't discussed third statement in detail. So we will discuss just third statement in detail and wrap up. With reference to Indian economy, consider the following statement. Inflation, if inflation is too high, RBI is likely to buy government securities. Okay. If the rupee is rapidly depreciating, RBI is likely to sell dollars in the market. And if interest rate in the USA or European Union were to fall, that is likely to induce RBI to buy dollar. See, if inflation is too high, RBI is likely to buy government security is wrong. We eliminated 2 and 3 correct. Second statement we have discussed earlier. Now just in detail discuss the third statement. If interest rates in the USA or European Union were to fall, that is likely to induce RBI to buy dollar. This is quantitative easing. Okay. Interest rates in USA decreased. Sorry, interest rates in USA have reduced, so investor will have less incentive to invest in United States or European Union. So investor will look for some booming market like India and China. So this will lead to capital inflow. Capital inflow in India. This will lead to supply increase in supply of dollar. As supply of dollar will increase, rupee will appreciate. Rupee appreciation. As rupee will appreciate, export will become costlier. Not costlier. Export will be costlier. Exporter will be at less advantage. How it will be at less advantage? We have seen it earlier lecture. So if you haven't watched earlier lecture, please watch it. And rupee will appreciate, it will not be beneficial for Indian exporters. So at such time, RBI will intervene in the market. Now how it will intervene? It is likely to RBI to buy more dollars. RBI to buy dollars because there is surplus of dollar. Surplus of dollars. This surplus of dollars has led to rupee appreciation, which is hurting exporters. So RBI buys dollars and reduces So condition becomes normal. That was the explanation for third statement, which we didn't discuss in elaborate manner in last lecture. That's why I discuss right now. Okay, so that's what for today's session. Today's session discussed past year questions regarding inflation topics in detailed manner. So that's now what you have to do is you have to again solve these questions, and in the next lecture we will see questions regarding monetary policy. Okay, so thanks all for watching this session.